welcome to this episode of Cannesversations. I'm your host, Stephanie Beach, and we were here live in Possible in Miami, this beautiful view on early Tuesday morning, and I'm here with Caden from Creator IQ. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here. Weirdly enough, this is my first time in Miami ever.
Really?
Yeah, my first time in Miami.
What do you think?
I love a beach. I love beaching. It's probably like one of my favorite things to do. I love to go into like Mexico and being on the beach. So like here, it's great. I will have to say it's like blisteringly hot. So I'm glad we have the shade. I'm glad it's morning. It's cool. But I'm originally from Texas, so I'm like used to the heat. I just try to avoid the heat as much as I can because I sweat and then my gorgeous hair like falls apart, and we can't have that.
No, we cannot. I know. I love the heat too. I love being outside. I love the beach. So this is great. I feel like when you're hot, you could always cool off.
That is true. That's true. You can just
being
run
cold.
into the water.
Yeah.
Jump in and then get out, and then you're fine.
So how's the conference going for you so far?
It's incredible. It is chaotic. It is crazy. There's so many conversations to have, and there's so many wonderful people here. I got to speak yesterday on stage with Nikki Scott from TikTok. We were talking about creator briefing and what brands and clients really want from their creator partnerships. That was exciting. That was thrilling. I met a lot of great people, and this is literally only day 2. So there's so much more in store.
So much more. All right, let's dive in. First question, what percentage of traffic do you think is inhuman?
I would say, like, if I have to think from my own personal experience, because I'm chronically online, I'm Gen Z, literally born after 2000, where I spend the most of my time and attention is probably, I would say 60 to 68% of the time inhuman.
Wow. Okay. I'm interested to see what everyone else says, and we can compare those answers. So, is high click-through rate still a win if you can't verify who or what clicked?
Okay, so I have lots of opinions on this.
Okay.
I used to work on the programmatic side of advertising. Now I've moved into the whole influencer space. And I speak to this from my generation and from my friends. I don't believe in click-through rate. I genuinely, like, you have banner ads on, websites, you have banner ads on mobile devices, display, you have it on social. Like, sometimes it does convert. Like social, I believe in click-through rate on social. But when it comes to like going on a computer, going on your mobile device, on a website, I don't think that it really attributes the value that we see all the time, because most of the time, who's actually clicking? I think that there's a lot of that traffic, a lot of those percentages that are brought to clients, to brands, that are actually bots.
Yeah.
Because genuinely, I don't think that there's ever been a time, except for maybe one time when I accidentally clicked on a Sephora link on a banner ad that like brought me to the site, but I did not purchase anything from there. I will go in person to Sephora and get what I need. But what makes me buy the stuff at Sephora is when I'm scrolling through Instagram and a new creator is like showing off a new product or putting it on their face and being like, you must buy this too.
I love this, and we can continue this conversation offline because it will not fit into this little short video but like, yes. And it's so different from generation to generation in the mindset and the thinking, and with all of the AI and all of the extra stuff and the influencers and how social is changing and how search is changing. Brands have to be so mindful of what they're doing and how they're doing it. Like, the intentionality really needs to be there. And we talk a lot about, authenticity, and I really hate that word, but there's not another word for it, because you need to be genuine while you're doing it. Mm-hmm. And, if you're trying to appeal to another audience, that's great, and you want to show up where they are, but it also has to be real.
Yeah.
And I feel like some brands miss the mark.
1,000%. That's literally, I think, night and day. All I think about, like, in my work is even the stuff that I view and scroll. Like, you can tell when somebody's talking about something, whether it be a post, social, even in their own lives, whether they're passionate about something, whether they believe in something, you can tell. And when brands partner with certain individuals, certain people, you can see when somebody's reading from a script, or when somebody genuinely uses a product, works at a place, uses a service, and loves what they're doing and loves who they're working with.
And it's also very telling, like, we know what's happening, and we're still influenced. And I'm the same, like, I do too. And I'm like, oh, this was a good one, Okay, great. So how are you helping your clients scale their spend without scaling the risk of fraud?
Oh, so this is big, especially at Creator IQ. So we're an influencer marketing software. We help brands and agencies scale their entire influencer marketing campaigns, discovering creators, managing those campaigns, reporting on what's working, what's not, but then also benchmarking against their competition so they can see like where they need to invest their dollars and where they may need to scale back and venture into other markets, other places. We actually just launched a whole new product called Safe IQ, utilizing AI to go in and vet creators. What have they said in the past? What kind of topics are they talking about? Would they be a brand fit? And the really cool thing that I love about what we've built and how we're trying to help with clients is this tool, this new product actually learns from what you think is brand safe and what isn't. Let's say, for example, I'm Monster Energy. The people who advocate for Monster Energy, very different from the people who advocate for Barbie.
Yeah.
If you're working with a creator who may use a lot of curse words, that may not be something that you see as Monster Energy as something that's unbrand safe.
Right.
But for Barbie, you may see that as being unfit or, you don't want to work with that creator. So our AI will actually train to when you say, oh, that's okay, this is not an issue for us. It'll know that in the future, okay, I don't need to flag those things. So when it does flag something that you need to be aware of, you actually know that it's something that you need to pay attention to, listen to. Especially in the business of working with creators, it's risky. You never know what they're going to say. You never know what they're going to do. And so that's kind of what Creator IQ kind of sits in the forefront of, is giving you the tools and resources to work with thousands of creators across the globe at one time, but make sure that when you're working with them, you're getting the most value from them and they're working for your brand in the right way.
Yeah, and that sounds really cool. It sounds like a really interesting technology that is solving for a lot of different things. What is something brands think they understand about performance, but they really don't?
I would say that something that I preach a lot with some of the brands that I work with and some of the brands that I talk to is, especially in creator marketing and influencer, number one is when you think that a person has a lot of follower accounts and they have a lot of reach, working with them doesn't mean that that's going to benefit you as a brand. A lot of times I think that people think oh, I'm going to get this really big creator, this really big famous person, and they're going to talk about my product and that's going to sell. That doesn't always do what people think they want it to do, due to whether that's engagement rates, brand fit. And I think a lot of times we lose wanting to work with someone who we think is cool versus understanding our own brand's tone of voice, and making sure that when we do those partnerships, they resonate with the audience. When you work with a creator, you're not just buying an ad placement. You're not just buying a spot. You are buying a creator's audience.
Yep.
You are buying a creator's trust. And if you don't let that creator do the work in their own voice, because they built that audience, they've built that trust, that is their ownership, you're going to lose that performance with their audience.
Yeah.
Because their viewers, their reach is going to see that and go, oh, that's not the Caden I know. Caden would never say that. Caden would never do that. And so I really advocate for and really lean into reminding brands that you need to make sure that when you're working with these creators in those partnerships and you want to perform well, that you still allow a creator to have the creative liberties to make the content, make whatever assets they need to in their own voice and their own style. Still having a little bit of guardrails so where you keep it brand safe for your own brand, but know that that person is the one that's built their audience and has built their audience's trust.
And, that's what you're going to them for, right? Because they built that. So if, you have to give them some liberties with how they're going about it, what they're doing and how they're doing it, as well as allowing it to come off as genuine to the audience. But yes, understanding that there will be some guardrails to be able to just keep things aligned for the brand. Yeah. Where do you see the biggest gap between reported performance and reality?
I think that in my space in particular, there's performance and reality. And at the end of the day, marketers have to showcase and measure the bottom line. How did we perform at the bottom line for their P&L, for their CFOs, for the business as a whole? And that's really difficult to do in creator, because when you want to work with a creator, you want to drive that awareness, but you also want to drive that sales. And when working with the brands that I work with, another thing that we talk about is when you work with somebody new for the first time, you don't want to particularly put all your eggs in the basket that person's going to drive sales. Because we all know this. You have to watch an ad 7 times. You have to be exposed to a brand 7 different times for you to actually act on it and make a decision on what you want to do. Same thing with creators.
Yeah.
If this is the first time, I'm a huge Pokemon fan, love Pokemon. All of my friends know that. If I was to tell any of my friends to buy Pokemon, they would do it because they know that I love that brand. But if I woke up tomorrow and I started talking about how I wanted to buy these new Nike sneakers and how everyone around me needed to buy them, my friends would be a bit confused because I don't really ever talk about shoes in that capacity. I do have these really nice Coach shoes. Everyone knows I love Coach because my name's Caden. Their logo's a C. So they're the brands that I talk about consistently and daily.
Yeah.
And people know that. And when I tell them, give them a call to action to the brands that I'm already speaking to, the brands that I'm aligned to, people are going to act on that. But if it's someone who I'm working with the first time and I'm mentioning their brand, people aren't always going to buy or always commit to doing something because, you know, they need a little bit more trust, a little bit more, okay, what is going on? So for me, the biggest gap that I see is knowing that when you work with a creator the first time, don't always lean into making sure that that person drives bottom line revenue. But if somebody's already mentioning you, those are the people that you put your basket into to drive that revenue. And you need to have 2 programs running. One that's running awareness so that after a while, those new creators then become those bottom line, and those bottom line creators become your powerhouse sellers for whatever initiative you're trying to run.
Yeah. And there's so much strategy behind it, more so than what people probably think or what influencer used to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I know everybody kind of aspires, and I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of younger people aspire to be an influencer or a YouTube celebrity or some sort of that. But, you know, it's not easy.
Yeah. No.
It's not easy to build that. And then it's not easy to know what to do with it, once you have it. And I feel like the creator's role now is shifting. You know, there's so many creators that now own products or now are their own brand, and that's their business. And then they're helping other businesses. You know, this topic is something that definitely fascinates me as I get more into the creator economy myself. But it's very interesting, everything that goes into it. And, you know, the things that you really have to think about in order for your strategy to really be intelligent and perform and evolve and optimize as your brand grows and as your influencers grow.
Yeah, I will have to say, I used to be an influencer, like right on the onset of COVID. Me and my partner at the time, we had a relationship TikTok. And to all my creators out there, I personally understand how hard it is to like make content.
Yeah.
And you're like, what story do I share? What niche am I a part of? Like, it is so much work, and anyone and everyone can be a creator because we are our own subject matter experts in what we believe in and what we do. And you should totally lean into that. Like whether you're starting out, whether you're consistently being a creator, like keep doing what you're doing because it is difficult and you are putting in the hard work. And those that choose to do it, they are setting themselves off to put a lot of work and get a lot of value from it. But yeah, I genuinely believe that even whether you have 100,000 followers or 2,000 followers, I was literally just saying this a second ago, you're a creator.
Yeah.
You're an influencer. The people who are in your close circle who have trusts and ties to you, they are influenced by you. And if I have 2,000 of my closest friends and I could tell them at any given time to do something and they'll do it, that could be more impactful than me having 100,000 followers that are fake and only about 0.01% of them actually do what I say. Those people who have a smaller following count can still drive more impact than somebody who has millions of followers.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000,000%. And creator burnout is real. Having to constantly create content. So where do you see clients optimizing towards the wrong thing?
For me, I think it depends by brand. So this answer comes very much from like the space that I sit in and from like my own background. Like I already mentioned, like I am very much Gen Z. So like this is very much from my own sitting as somebody who is Gen Z. Brands that spend a lot of time advertising on traditional media, on, you know, programmatic, display, mobile, aren't really going to resonate to me because I don't spend my time there. So if you're a brand that you're like really trying to engage a younger generation, because literally in a couple of years, 30% of Gen Z is going to be part of the entire, you know, consumer ecosystem. Like brands need to start showing up where their audiences are. And for different brands, that's different places. And you as a brand understand that and know that. But I think where some brands fall short is they try to still spend everywhere and just like spray and pray across all channels and hope things convert. And that works for some, but others it doesn't. And I think the bottom line needs to be, if I'm a brand and like our goal this year is to reach Gen Z and connect with them and get them to purchase more, show up where Gen Z is. And that's on social media. That's creating brand experiences that you invite us to participate in, because that's what we long for. We are that generation that like, we long for that in-person interaction. We had to go to high school. We had to go to college during COVID. Years of our lives are just like taken away when we were trying to learn and grow. And like we crave that and we long for that again. And so the brands that I see succeeding the best are the ones who are showing up in that authentic way on social, in that authentic way in person. Adobe is probably like my gold standard of like what is going on in the industry, because they create both content for B2B and B2C and do it in the best way possible with their collaborations of creators being like, hey, this is my small business. This is what I do. This is how I use it. Look how great my life is because of what Adobe is doing for me. And you see that authenticity and you're like, oh my gosh, I can do that too.
Yeah, it's really inspiring at the end of the day. Ready for some rapid fire?
Let's go.
Overrated or underrated AI in marketing?
Underrated.
Safe bet or risky bet? AI agents making purchases.
Risky bet.
One thing that matters more than people think?
Relationships.
I love that. I'm
all about relationships. Like I worked for the CMO of Omnicom, and she's a psychotherapist as well. And the one thing that she taught me from a very young time of working with her is nothing matters more in marketing, in your personal life, in your career than relationships.
It's the truth.
And whether you spend every day with the people you work with building those relationships, or you as a brand are building those authentic relationships with your consumer, nothing is going to carry its weight more than strong, committed, and win-win relationships between you and the people that you serve.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Cannesversations. Thank you, Human, for sponsoring and making this happen. Tune into the next episode.